Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Don't just throw a tailgate. Own the tailgate with a Bojangles Big Bow Box. Because only Bojangles puts tailgate-ready fresh, never frozen, honey barbecue or buffalo bone-in wings with fall-off-the-bone juiciness right in the pocket. The only way to make these wings any better? With some made-from-scratch buttery biscuits, flavorful fixins, and freshly steeped legendary iced tea. So let the quarterback do the throwing, you do the winning. Because how can you expect to win the game if you don't win the tailgate? Bojangles, it's bow time.
Boutique Air in Muscle Shoals, Alabama offers direct flights to Atlanta and Pensacola. Boutique Air service runs twice daily, 7 days a week with fares starting at $59. Follow Boutique Air Muscle Shoals on Facebook at Boutique Air MSL and book your flight through boutiqueair.com. Boutique Air,
where you can fly private for the cost of commercial.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. My wife and I sat down with Harlan Mitchell and discussed our own estate planning needs. I know in our experience, Harlan brought up questions that caused us to think about our current situation and what we need to do moving forward. When you sit down with Harlan for your free consultation, you're going to find out things that you may have not thought about when it comes to estate planning. I encourage you to go to BamaEstatePlanning.com or give Harlan Mitchell a call at 256-216-9884 and schedule your free consultation today.
Experience the difference at Athens Bible School. The vision and purpose is to provide each student a quality education in a Christ-centered environment to develop the whole person spiritually, mentally, physically, and socially in safe and supportive surroundings. The solid biblical foundation permeates learning and culture in the classrooms and every extracurricular activity.
Hey everybody, this is Daryl Worley, and you're listening to The Mark White Show. Hey, step up and make a difference like he does.
This old world is full of hurt and pain. A little sunshine and a whole lot of rain. It don't take much to drive those clouds away. Let's all do something good today. You never know what someone's going through. Don't underestimate what you can do. A friendly smile's a tiny price to pay. Let's all do something good today. A little wink, a pat on the back, big old hug, a little laugh. We can make a difference. All we have to do is
The Andy Griffith Show, starring Andy Griffith, with Ronnie Howard. Also starring Don Knotts.
Welcome to a Saturday edition of the Mark White Show. I am glad that you could join us this morning. Tomorrow is a very special day for a special lady, as Betty Lynn, who played Thelma Lou on the Andy Griffith Show, turns 95 years old. To help celebrate, I wanted to share an interview that I did with Betty Lynn a few years ago, and I included an interview that I did with Maggie Peterson, who played Charlene Darling on the Andy Griffith Show as well. We want to wish Betty Lynn a very happy 95th birthday. She's been having some health issues lately, so we want to continue to pray for Betty Lynn and her health. We're going to jump right into it. Here is my interview with Betty Lynn, who played Thelma Lou on the Andy Griffith Show. Happy birthday, Betty Lynn.
Barney's going to be in the choir? My Barney?
That's right.
But Barney can't sing.
I know.
He's a warm, wonderful person, and I love him dearly, but he can't sing.
That's true.
He's kind, considerate, good-hearted, the most gentle person I've ever known, but he can't sing.
You're right.
He's the man I want to marry, the man I want to be the father of my children.
But he can't sing.
Not a lick.
You're listening to the Mark White Show. I'm your host, Mark White, and right now I have with me a very, very special guest from the Andy Griffith Show, Betty Lynn. She played Thelma Lou. Welcome to the program, Betty Lynn.
Oh, well, thanks, Mark. I'm really happy I can talk to you and to your listeners.
I know they're very excited, so from my listeners to you, welcome to the program. I know that they're very excited to hear your voice, and of course you played Thelma Lou on the Andy Griffith Show.
Oh, you bet. Well, I love doing that part. Of all the things I've done in my life, that's my favorite, I think.
When we go back before Andy Griffith, when you were younger, who would you say was a special person, a supporter, a loved one who was always there for you and supporting you?
Well, I would say my mother was a great supporter for me. She helped me a lot. She made clothes for me, and she helped me with singing, because my mother was a professional singer herself. She was an opera singer, but she helped me a great deal and played for me sometimes, and couldn't have been more help. She was just wonderful and good and kind to me.
When you think about your mother's musical career, did that lead you into acting?
Yes, I think it did. Well, I guess I must have loved it all anyway, but my mother being in the business, I guess naturally had something to do with it. I used to hear her. She had her own radio show locally when I was a little girl, and I'd sit and listen to her sing on the radio. It's called Memories, and she could play piano and organ and everything herself, but she sometimes had harpists accompany her in different ones, so it was, I got to hear all of that as a child. I guess I was interested in that and began to do things myself. When I was 14, I started doing some radio shows locally, and then I later, in fact, the first time I sang was in Cleveland, Ohio, on WHK there. I was 14 and happened to be visiting my aunt in Cleveland, and she knew someone that had that program, and they said I could sing on it, so I did. I did a song. First time I ever sang on radio was there. I did radio when I was back home. Just acting, not singing.
Right.
And, so I did a little of everything. I danced all my life at the conservatory. I had a scholarship, luckily, because my family couldn't have afforded to send me, but I had a scholarship all the way through. When I was 16, I began to assist teaching, and so I really loved all of it.
Well, it sounds like you certainly put in the work to get to where you were. How did you end up landing the part of Thelma Lou for the Andy Griffith Show?
I was called in by the casting director. She had cast me in other things, and so she called me in to read for the director and the producer, and I did, and they said they'd like me to play the part. I had seen the show twice before and thought it was a wonderful show. I laughed so hard when I didn't laugh in many shows, and that was a wonderful show. And I thought, oh, this is great. I was so thrilled to have a chance to be on it. But I was under contract to Disney at the time. I was doing Hex's John Slaughter series with Tom Tryon, playing his second wife in it. Mr. Disney had bought the true life of the first sheriff at Tombstone, Arizona. So I was playing his second wife in it, and two little children, his wife by his first marriage and everything. So anyway, but I told them I was under contract to Disney. Later, Disney dropped our series, and I was free to, but they never signed me up on the Griffith Show. They just called me when they needed me. But I was lucky that I got to be on it, and I loved doing it. I loved working with Andy and Don. I loved Aunt B and little Opie, and everybody on the show was so great.
Through the years, you've had great support from fans. I know that fans embrace Andy Griffith maybe more now so than when it was first running.
Yes, they love it. People love that show. And for one thing, 4 generations come and see me.
Just like us bringing our nephew at the time, he was just a kid, but he knew Andy Griffith Show, and we had been showing him shows when he met you. He knew who you were.
Right, the little ones do. It's amazing. They'll come to me, put their arms around me and hug me, and they know Thelma Lou when they see her. I'm amazed that people still do, because I'm so much older now, of course. But they do recognize me somehow. But the little ones come, and they're so sweet when they give me a hug and look at me. They're really sweet. And I love seeing the children, and I love seeing people my age and in between.
Yes, and you're still so beautiful, and Thelma Lou was such a beautiful person as far as her character goes, and I know people embrace that too.
It isn't just me, for heaven's sakes, I know that. But I'm grateful that they all come. It's a beautiful museum that Tanya Jones, head of the Arts Council, had seen to it, was put together. It is really a lovely tribute to Andy Griffith, his hometown of Mount Airy, and he drew so much from this town to put in that show. It's amazing. I see it more and more. I think, well, that's really Mayberry, if I ever saw it. So much of it is. And it's a beautiful town in Mount Airy. So I hope people will come and see us and enjoy the museum. It is beautiful, and the museum's wonderful. And they would really, I think, enjoy going through all that. I hope to see us and see what a pretty town he grew up in. People do enjoy it. I know they come and see all the things in it and the things that relate to all of his life. Not just the Andy Griffith Show, but everything he had done. He did so many things, movies and Broadway, everything. So there's a lot to see about Andy. And Don Knotts was so sweet, too. Everybody said, oh, he must have been so funny. Well, actually, he was a quiet man. He was not like Barney Fife at all. He was a great actor, is what he was. But I loved being with him and working with him, and look forward to any time they called me. I was hoping that I get to go and be on it. And I was lucky that I could be, because I had no contract. It was all just whenever they wrote me in. So I was really happy that I could do as often as I did.
How many episodes were you in, Betty Lynn?
The fans say that I was in 26. I never kept track, but I believe they ought to know. They know the lines backward and forward better than I do. They know how many times I did the show and everything. Don said, oh, you did more than that. I said, no, they know what they're talking about better than we do. And it's true. The fans know more than all of us ever knew. Because when Don left, I left too, and he went to do movies. He was wonderful in the movies he did. And I know he really wanted to do that. And so he got the opportunity and took it. And it's a good thing he did, because he did some great shows. So I hope people will come and see us and have a good time here in Mount Airy, or Mayberry, as some people think of it.
I want to ask you a final question. How do you want people to remember you?
I never thought of it. Well, I don't really expect them to remember me particularly. I mean, I'm not that important in people's lives, but, well, if they do, I hope they'll say a prayer for me. Just ask them to do that, that's all.
Well, and I want to thank you for what you've done for fans. You make them feel so warm and loved inside. I remember how my family felt when we got to see you and put our arms around your neck, and you're such a lovely person, and I appreciate you being willing to do an interview with me today.
Oh, thanks, Mark. Well, I'm just grateful you wanted to do it. Tell your family I send my love, and I'm so glad that I had a chance to meet them. Make the trip again someday.
And I appreciate you, and thank you to the Surrey folks over there that lined this up as well. And we want to make sure that we mention the museum and all the arts that are going on there in Mount Airy that people can enjoy.
That's right. Well, it's a wonderful place to visit. Something I'll look forward to.
Well, thank you again so much. You've been listening to Betty Lynn, played Thelma Lou on the Andy Griffith Show. She has been joining me this morning on the Mark White Show, the Andy Griffith Special. So we appreciate her joining us. When we come back, we're going to have Maggie Peterson, who played Charlene Darling from the Darling family. So I hope you'll stay with us. You are listening to the Mark White Show, and I am your host, Mark White.
Mr. Cecil Batchelor is the one that started this business as Dependable Service Center. And even though now it's Green's Dependable Hardware and we're a True Value store, our tagline is still Your Dependable Service Center. We've tried to keep that alive for all these years. Mr. Batchelor really started a good business. We're really excited to be carrying on a long-standing tradition. It's the oldest retail store in the city of Russellville. We're Green's Dependable Hardware, 15220A Highway 43 in Russellville, Alabama. We're right behind McDonald's or right across the street from the hospital. Number is 256-331-0123.
Your Dependable Service Center.
Do you look at your home or business and wonder what you can do when it comes to landscapes or hardscapes? Get in touch with my friends at JJ Brothers Hardscapes and Landscapes. Licensed, bonded, and insured, JJ Brothers Hardscapes and Landscapes offers new sod, irrigation, new flower beds, new mulch, blocks, stone, retaining walls, patios, and outdoor kitchens. Give JJ a call at 256-497-8263 or email at jjhardscapes@gmail.com. Now offering pool remodeling and new installs. That's JJ Brothers Hardscapes and Landscapes. Located in Tuscumbia, Alabama, the Alabama Music Hall of Fame honors Alabama's music achievers. You can even go into the recording studio and try out your talents as a singer. That's the Alabama Music Hall of Fame, located at 617 Highway 72 West in Tuscumbia, Alabama. Open Tuesday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Give them a call at 256-381-4417. Check them out on the web at alamhof.org. Thompson Roofing and Construction is a locally owned family business serving the North Alabama and Southern Tennessee area. They are a Better Business Bureau A+ member since 2011 and a GAF Master Elite Contractor. Give them a call at 256-952-3309 or check them out on the web at 256roofing.com. They offer free inspections.
Thompson Roofing and Construction.
Is it time for a haircut? Go see my friends Philip Butler and B.H. Parker at Southwind Barbershop, located at 1637 Lee Street in Rogersville, Alabama. Give them a call at 256-247-5658. That's 256-247-5658.
Yeah, after all this time, you're always on my mind.
Hi, this is Rodney Crowell, and you're listening to The Mark White Show, where making the difference in other people's life begins, and we all get on board and give it the best we can.
I still love you.
You're listening to The Mark White Show, and this is Betty Lynn, who played Thelma Lou on the Andy Griffith Show.
Well, now take down your fishing pole and meet me at the fishing hole. We may not get a bite all day, but don't you rush away. What a great place to rest your bones, and mighty fine for skipping stones. You feel fresh as a lemonade, setting in the shade.
And we are back. You're listening to the Mark White Show, a special Andy Griffith Show edition. And I want to play a little bit of a song that I really love from the Andy Griffith Show.
There is a time for love and laughter. The days will pass like summer storms. The winter wind will follow after. But there is love and love is warm. There is a time for us to wonder. When time is young and so are we. The woods are greener over yonder. The path is new, the world is free. The path is new, the world is free.
Well, I believe that's the prettiest thing I ever heard.
How'd you like that, Maggie?
Oh, that brings back such wonderful memories. That was so much fun, and that's such a beautiful song.
Appreciate you, Maggie, and joining me this morning. And, of course, Maggie Peterson, who played Charlene Darling of the Darling family on the Andy Griffith Show. Welcome to the Mark White Show.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
How young were you when you were on the Andy Griffith Show?
Well, I was in my early 20s. I'll just say that, and then you can do the math.
Okay. Well, people loved the character of Charlene Darling. She was so much fun and full of life, and, of course, she brought that to the show. Even in the few episodes that the Darling family were a part of the show, it just made a difference of the Andy Griffith Show, in my opinion.
Well, isn't that nice of you to say? I thought they were outstanding episodes. The writers were so clever and everything. The thing was, my character, Charlene, they weren't sure how they were going to cast that. At first, they thought they were going to go with like a Daisy May sort of sexy kind of girl. And then they decided to go with a little mountain girl, so I got the part.
And you did it perfectly. I can't think of a better person to play that part than you.
I had a lot of help, you know. Andy was so great and so kind. It was really my first experience, so he just was so helpful. In fact, everybody on the show was. That was the nicest set that you've ever want to be on. Everybody was friendly, and Andy surrounded himself with a lot of people from the South, so he felt very comfortable. His makeup man was from North Carolina, and there were a lot of Southern people in the crew, and he felt very much at home. So it made it just like a really friendly set.
Tell us how you got to the point of being Charlene Darling in the Andy Griffith Show.
Well, Andy and I had the same manager, Mr. Dick Link, and so Andy was handled by Dick Link, and I had a group. I was singing with a group, and we were on the road, and we were in Scottsdale, and this part came up for this girl, and then they decided to go a different way than they had originally planned. So Aaron Rubin and Sheldon Leonard came to see me in Scottsdale, and then I got to fly over to Los Angeles, and I auditioned for the part, and that's how I got it.
Wow, and that's an interesting story. Betty Lynn told me that she didn't even sign with the Andy Griffith Show. They just called her whenever they wanted her to show up.
I know. Isn't she wonderful?
Yes.
Oh, boy, what a great character and what a lovely person she is. She's my favorite person. She's a lot of fun.
She takes so much time with the fans as well as you, and I have my picture with my kiss on the cheek from Betty Lynn, and I love it.
Well, you know, she takes so much time with everybody. She doesn't hurry people through. She just is so kind and so sincere. She's a lovely human being.
Maggie, I appreciate you joining me this morning.
Thanks so much, Mark, for having me.
Who live and love in my hometown. These are my kind of people.
Boutique Air in Muscle Shoals, Alabama offers direct flights to Atlanta and Pensacola. Boutique Air service runs twice daily, 7 days a week, with fares starting at $59. Follow Boutique Air Muscle Shoals on Facebook at Boutique Air MSL and book your flight through boutiqueair.com. Boutique Air,
where you can fly private for the cost of commercial.
Don't just throw a tailgate. Own the tailgate with a Bojangles Big Bow Box. Because only Bojangles puts tailgate-ready fresh, never frozen, honey barbecue or buffalo bone-in wings with fall-off-the-bone juiciness right in the pocket. The only way to make these wings any better? With some made-from-scratch buttery biscuits, flavorful fixins, and freshly steeped legendary iced tea. So let the quarterback do the throwing, you do the winning. Because how can you expect to win the game if you don't win the tailgate? Bojangles, it's bow time.
Here on the Mark White Show, we're recognizing difference makers and sharing their stories to encourage and inspire us all to make a difference where we can. I hope the Mark White Show is an encouragement to you. If it is, I hope you'll share it with your friends, your neighbors, and your family, and let them know about the Mark White Show as we continue to try to make a difference in our communities. You can follow the Mark White Show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, also on LinkedIn, and subscribe to the Mark White Show podcast via Apple iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Audio Boom, SoundCloud, Blueberry, YouTube, and TuneIn Radio. You have been listening to a Saturday edition of the Mark White Show, and this is Mark White, encouraging you to find your purpose by making a difference in someone's life today.
Well, let's all do something good.